This podcast is a product of the Florida Academy of Collaborative Professionals. Nothing in this podcast should be considered legal advice. To find a collaborative professional near you, visit www.collaborativepracticeflorida.com. Thank you. My name is Catherine Eaton. I'm a collaborative family law attorney, and on today's FACP podcast, we have Pam Masters. Pam is an AV-rated family law attorney. She's an accredited collaborative lawyer and Supreme Court certified mediator with over 37 years of experience in general, civil, and family law litigation. She has a collaborative practice and a mediation practice. She's been certified mediator since 1996 and collaboratively trained since 1992. She serves on the board of directors for the Florida Academy of Collaborative Professionals and as chair of the Access Committee, working to provide access to collaborative practice across all income, language, cultural, and other barriers. And she's also a member of the International Academy of Collaborative Professionals. Welcome, Pam. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you,
I'd
Catherine. So
like
nice
to
to be
start,
here.
okay. I'd like to start today's conversation about how did you become involved with collaborative?
Okay, well, I'm going to keep it short because I think it's much more interesting to talk about how great collaborative is for our community, right? But I have been trained for a very long time. I was trained by Stu Webb, who created collaborative divorce in Minnesota way back in the late 80s, early 90s. Um, I was practicing in Atlanta at the time as a young lawyer. I wanted to be in a big city, and I was with a big firm and hated litigation from the moment they put me in the litigation department. And early on discovered ADR and really, pursued that, was trained as a mediator within a couple of years really of starting to practice and then jumped onto collaborative. There was a very robust collaborative community in Atlanta. I was very, very lucky. And so I was exposed to it early and took to it like a fish to water.
That's that's great. So, like you said, you've been doing it a long time. So you've seen how it's grown,
Mhm.
and I'll just circle right around now. It's grown to now we have Divorce with Respect Week, which is actually this week, March started yesterday, March
Mhm.
3rd. And all the collaborative practitioners are excited about Divorce with Respect Week because it's an opportunity for people to learn more about collaborative and other ways of resolving your divorce without litigating and going to court in a respectful manner. So, Pam, would you talk to us a little bit about collaborative and divorcing with respect and how that is so different and
Mhm.
um why you're so enthused and why you practice that way versus going direct to court.
Sure. I'm going to digress for just a second and say how much I love Divorce with Respect Week because, yes, collaborative has grown tremendously, and we all should be excited about the growth of collaborative. But I'll tell you, 30 years ago, we thought collaborative was going to be the only way that people were divorced within 5 years. We really believed that. And here we are 30, 35 years later, and not enough people are getting divorced collaboratively. And so we have so much work to do to get the word out about divorcing with respect and that there are other options and there is a better way and that that we have collaborative available to everyone at all income points, at all, I'm passionate about access. You mentioned that. And so I love Divorce with Respect Week because it is a concerted effort by everybody in the United States who is practicing collaborative law to get the word out and to provide a free consultation and free information to folks who are willing to hear about it. So I just want to talk about that for 1 second, but why I love collaborative, why it's so much better for families and all of that jazz. I mean, I've been at this for a very long time. I've spent too much time in a courtroom in a process that really does harm families both financially and emotionally. And, I've decided personally not to be a part of that process anymore. And I think it really comes down to what people need when their family is falling apart. And what they need is first and foremost emotional support. Divorce is first and foremost an emotional process. The next thing divorce is a financial process. And the last thing divorce is or should be is a legal process. Sorry, all you lawyers out there, but we should not be leading the charge, right? The emotional support people should be leading the charge. The financial support people should be leading the charge. And we need to really sort of do the legal divorce once that's taken care of. And so collaborative process is really the only way to put divorce in the proper order, I like to say. If you do divorce in the proper order, it's going to be so much easier, uh, cost effective, financially feasible for the family, and we can give a value add to the family. We can help parents learn how to communicate as co-parents. We can help children adjust to their new, we say one family, two homes. We have the tools available to us to really bring something to this family that will help them transition. And that's why I do it. That's why I love it. I've seen it. I've seen the most amazing things in collaborative cases. I've seen people reach agreements that could never happen in a court. People really don't think about how narrow a judge's options are. I had a judge recently say to me, most people, 90 something percent of people can figure their stuff out, and they should. They are the best people to know what's best for their family. The very small percentage of people that show up in my courtroom, the only choice I have is to do harm to them. I have no good options for them once they're standing in front of me. I know that whatever I am going to do is going to harm this family. And so, we don't talk much about, but the family law bench, the judges who deal with families in crisis really have, referred trauma, as they say. It's a really difficult job for them. And so, one of the things that collaborative process does is, take some of the load off of those judges. It helps them focus on the families that really, really need judicial intervention. It takes their stress level down. It helps them to be more effective for families who need them. So anyway, that's a lot. Just wind me up and get me going.
That is a lot, but you know what? People don't realize when I have a new client come to my office, and you do too, when you just describe the trauma and that the judges, can't um can't help them in a they only can make certain decisions. Will you explain that a little bit more? Because so many people come and say, well, I just want what's fair and I just want what the law says. And they don't understand all of the details and how all of the choices and how there's choices and how the judge doesn't have that many choices. Can you explain the difference?
Sure. It's very hard to help people understand something they haven't experienced, right? And I love analogies. I really talk in analogies a lot. So one of the things I tell people is, listen, your family's the patient on the operating table, and I'm trying to do open heart surgery. And everything I do, your spouse's lawyer is standing on the other side of the table undoing it. That's what trial is like. I try to help the judge understand something, and the other lawyer comes in and presents the opposite version of that. And so ultimately what happens is it's a bloody mess and the patient dies, right? There isn't a good outcome to that. Or I tell them, um, you know, your story is complicated and compelling. Your family's in crisis. We have to tell the judge your story by asking questions. So all we can do is ask questions. So let's talk about how difficult that is, right? Family law judges have the most discretion of any judge in any division on the bench. And what you think is fair may not be what he or she thinks is fair, may not be what I think is fair, may not, certainly, right? Fair is a subjective idea. And so every client wants the judge to say, oh my gosh, you're exactly right. And that other person over there is exactly wrong. And they're a horrible person. I'm going to give you everything you want. And that is not what happens because the judge has to stay within the bounds of the law. And so while they have a lot of discretion, the choices that they can make are very limited, especially now with our new statutes, with our new equal parenting presumption, equal time sharing with children, and equal division of assets. There really is not too far a judge can stray from that without making special findings of fact, which are hard to do. So, I also tell them I use a little, I don't know if you've seen Pauline Teslar's little demonstration with a piece of paper where you hold up a whole sheet of paper and you say, this is what you want the judge, this is what you've told me about your case. Fold it in half. This is what I was able to hear and take in. Fold it in half. This is what, I'm able to present to the judge. And, you just keep going. This is how much the judge hears. This is how much the judge takes in and remembers. This is how, it just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller to where they understand that the judge is making a super important decision about their lives and their futures based on a tiny little 1 by 1 inch square of paper's worth of information. They can never know the whole story. They can never hear it all. They can never take everything into account. And of course, your children will never be there and never should be there. So it really does take away options. It takes away choices. And one thing it's a little controversial, but it's true. People assume that the judge is the smartest person in the courtroom, and that is not always a safe assumption. Judges are where they are for many, many, many different reasons, and judges don't stay put generally. So we may be in front of a judge who is not married, does not have children, and has been on the family law bench after not practicing family law for 2 weeks. And here you are presenting your case to that person. Not saying they won't do their best and, be a good judge, but without the experience, both life experience and judicial experience, the outcomes can be troubling, to say the least.
That's really true. I hadn't thought about it there. And there's a lot of, like you just said, new judges to the bench. They just aren't experienced. They haven't practiced family law. If they've never gone through a divorce and they haven't practiced family law, the last time before they hit the bench was probably back in law school.
Right.
And honestly, even when I took family law in law school, all I remember is best interest of the child. And there's a lot more to it than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the other thing that the judges don't, even the best judge, even the most experienced judge, if you have a complex financial marital estate, if you've got, you know, restricted stock units and unvested stocks and properties and property in other places, and if you've got that kind of a marital estate, it is very, very hard for a judge to figure that out in a way that makes sense. I mean, one of the things that I truly love about collaborative is the financial rigor and accountability that we are able to bring to these folks. We're able to help them understand tax consequences of certain options. We're able to think about retirement. If we've got some 50 somethings divorcing and we've got a spouse who has not been a high earner, we've got a retirement problem very quickly. And in collaborative, we can plan for that. We can help the couple do some financial planning to make sure that the lower earning spouse is not impoverished 10 years later when they hit retirement. That can never happen in a courtroom. The judge doesn't have the ability to do that. So we can deal with the most complex financial, and we as lawyers, it's such a gift that we are educated by our financial professionals. They teach us, and it makes us better at what we do. It makes us better able to advise our clients when they, even in a consultation, right? We could say, oh, I know what happens with that restricted stock unit, right? Here's what's going to happen with that, or here's some options around that. And so we as lawyers get the benefit of this financial rigor as well, this intellectual level of teaching and explanation and option building that is so great for our clients and for us.
Yeah, I couldn't do it without a financial in there. It's
Yeah.
I say to my clients all the time, I'm just a lawyer. So I know a
Yeah.
lot of different things, but when you really get down to it and when you talk about those complex estates, you really need a financial. Let's swing back a little too, because I know um you're chair of the access committee.
Mhm.
So will you talk about what the Access Committee is working to do?
Yes, thank you so much for asking. We have a lot of little projects. We're constantly trying to get information out. We're working to get the administrative order the same in all the counties. We're working on the comparison chart on all the clerks' websites, but we're working on outreach to other sections of the bar. We're offering to do presentations to all the bar sections because collaborative can touch many, many different practice areas. And even if it doesn't touch the exact practice area, of course, those lawyers are our biggest referral sources, right? They've got a corporate client who needs a divorce. And so we want to educate the rest of the bar. So it's a big education piece. We write articles and submit them to the Bar Journal. But our big project, our sort of cornerstone project that I'm so excited about, and I'm putting it out here with you in the universe and hoping that something will come back to keep us going, is we're creating a pilot project to bring a collaborative option into the court system, just like mediation. So I don't, those of us that have been around forever remember when mediation wasn't part of the normal judicial process in divorces. Now, of course, people have to go to mediation before they can have a trial. And the court system provides mediators for people who have income limitations, and they provide it at an affordable cost. And so we are creating a program that will be adjacent to the mediation program, we're hoping. And it will be something that will be, look, folks, you either go to mediation or you go into collaborative. And so we've decided there's going to be a two-tier process, one for families without children, one for families with children. It will be a two-meeting process for no kids and a three-meeting process for kids. We haven't yet figured out the math, on what it's going to cost, what we can, and what we're working on right now, what we could really use help with is we're trying to find a champion on the Supreme Court, one of the justices who will sort of take this on as their pet project and help us with the ADR office in the Supreme Court that manages mediation, just to help us kind of present to them and convince them that this is a worthwhile project and to let us do it. So we are working on that. We've got a few pieces in place, and if we can make that happen, I think the Access Committee would really have done something great for the state of Florida.
Oh, that sounds very exciting. So let's circle back and end our conversation again with Divorce with Respect Week. So
Yes.
it's this week, so that's why I wanted to circle back and talk about it again. And can you talk about a little bit about what the collaborative attorneys and the collaborative professionals are offering this week with Divorce with Respect Week?
Absolutely. If we want to participate in Divorce with Respect Week, and of course we all do, we offer free 30-minute consultations. So some people, we don't talk a lot about consultations in our world, but most family law lawyers charge for a consultation because if we didn't, we'd be spending all of our days talking to people about divorce and not getting paid anything. And we can't do that. None of us can afford to do that. And so most of us do charge a fee for a consultation. And so the idea with Divorce with Respect Week is for us to give our time freely to folks who would like to hear about no court divorce options. And so we advertise it on our websites. And if we're very ambitious, we might put an ad in the local paper and just let everybody know that if you call, we will offer a free consultation for 30 minutes. I don't limit mine, so I don't remember what there is a limit, I think, of how many you offer in a week, but you'll have to
I don't know. I think there is three that we've all
three.
signed up to
Yeah,
do at least three. But if anyone calls me, I'm
exactly.
I'm willing to
Exactly.
talk about it and
Exactly.
explain it. So
Yes, I never say no. I think one of the challenges in the growth of collaborative is the difficulty that people have um, explaining it to clients, and the reaction of the clients, which is, "What do you mean? Now I'm going to pay four professionals instead of just you? That's got to be more expensive. Why would I do that? That makes no sense at all." Right? It's a very normal human reaction. And those of us that have done a lot of collaborative cases have a much easier time talking about it and explaining why it would be great for this family, for you, as you're sitting in front of me. I mean, I had a woman yesterday, just to give an example. Unfortunately, she's gotten very, very ill and she needs a liver transplant. And she finds herself, needing a divorce at this very unfortunate time in her life for very painful reasons, right? Her husband just kind of abandoned her. He couldn't handle the illness. She's been sick for a couple years now, and he clearly is not going to be able to be there for her. And that woman would not survive a litigated divorce. Her health is precarious as it is. Stress, of course, exacerbates any health issues. She needs the support of a team, and they desperately need to do this divorce collaboratively. So it was easy for me to sell it to her, right? Because I said to her, litigation would be a terrible, terrible thing for your health. We really can't do this. And so, of course, the other challenge is, oh, how do I tell my spouse, right? How do I get them on board? I love for couples to come in together so I can explain collaborative divorce to them at the same time. I also offer that during Divorce with Respect Week. If they want to come in together, happy to do it. Happy to for them to hear the same thing at the same time from the same person, so everybody's on the same page about what this is. So, it is a national movement, as I said. It is nationwide, as far as I know, for people who want to participate. And I just think it's one of many tools that we have to let people know that divorce doesn't have to be the way it's always been. It's funny. We learn to do something one way, like when we're young. So the example someone gave me was, if you're driving on an icy road, what do you do? Oh, you don't hit the brakes and you turn into the slide. Like, well, no, actually now, because we have these wonderful anti-lock brakes, you're supposed to hit those brakes as hard as you can and don't take your foot off the brake. But if you asked 100 people that question, probably 99 of them would give you the wrong answer because that's the way we were taught when we were kids. That's the way we've always done it. That's the way we would always do it. And I think we have the same problem right now with divorce. And we need to let people know, no, no, we have anti-lock brakes now. We have collaborative process now. And it is so much better than what you could ever imagine it could be. Um, I did a little research project recently about the origins of no-fault divorce because I was researching moral injury actually, and people suffer a lot of moral injury in a divorce. There's affairs, there's money wasting, there's all sorts of things that, and they come into our office and we want to say, no, no, that affair doesn't matter. You can't talk about that. The judge doesn't care about that, right? Right? And it's really hard for them to move on when their primary injury will not be addressed. And so I dove into this, and of course, we all know it started in California in the 60s. But what I didn't know was the recommendation of the commission that was investigating divorce was to make divorce an administrative procedure, not a legal procedure, and to have it run by therapists, not lawyers.
Ah,
And what happened was, and that was going to be all the way through to the end. Either the couple would reconcile, or they would divorce. But if they divorced, it would be with the help of the therapist, and it would be an administrative process. And one of the things was people are more likely to participate if they don't have to pay a lawyer. The lawyers don't like to hear that, but that was the original idea. And what happened was Governor Brown, who started all this, lost the election to Governor Reagan, who was a big fan of divorce. He'd been divorced several times by then, right? He was happy with no fault divorce. And so the no fault piece was kept, but the funding was stripped. And so we are left with a very different idea of no fault than what was intended. And the result is what we see, where people are told that their pain and their injury doesn't matter, that this is just about money. And then we get this horrific litigation. And so collaborative is kind of a righting of that ship. It's a way to say, we can talk about that moral injury. We in collaborative, we can talk about it. It's not to say somebody gets money for that, but who knows? People agree to all sorts of things in collaborative. I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen it. And so it is a way to help people heal more fully, which is going to help them co-parent better, and just be a better human, as they move into their next relationship. So to me, the stakes are that high, right? It truly is making the world a better place because we are helping people to be better humans when we
I
take
like
care of
that.
them. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Now, if somebody wants to have a consult with you during Divorce with Respect Week, how can they find you, Pam?
Super easy. They can call me 386-271-8044, or they can go to my website, which is www.masterscdc, stands for Collaborative Divorce Center.com. Or they can email me directly, pam@masterscdc.com. Happy to receive a direct email. I don't have a bunch of assistants filtering people from me because I love to talk about collaborative and I love to promote collaborative.
Wonderful. Thank you for talking to us today.
You're so welcome. I would love to come back anytime.